Man, I got to tell you, I enjoy that intro music so much more than than I did at the Blaze. Are we on this thing, Party Foul Steve? Can you see me in here? All right, all I saw was the cover screen. What a weird week this is already. Chad Prather Show, Tuesday afternoon. Glad you guys are here. Blow up the chat. I see Mexican Tony in there. I see Maggie Moo. All kind of folks in the chat. Who's tired? Can you believe it's almost April of 2025? For crying out loud, where is the time going? I'm under conviction. I'm under a heavy conviction right now because I spend too much time focused on the wrong things. The wrong things. Social media. It's not real life. Why do we focus on these things? It's not real life. And I went on a walk this morning. I walked for a couple of miles. And after the Dear America show. And just reassessed some things in life. Didn't fix them, but we got started in that direction of trying to think of what are the priorities. And I want to say that to everybody that's listening to the show today. I want you to think about that before we go any further into this year. What are our priorities? You know, life is so much bigger than fighting with strangers or living in a constant argument or identity politics or all the we talk about the crazy stuff because we want to. I mean, we like pointing out the craziness in our world. We do that. It's sort of a cautionary tale. But before we go any further in the year, I want you to stop. And I'm saying this to me more than I am anybody else. I want you guys to let's get our priorities right. Get your faith right. Get your foundation right. Get your values in place. Where you spend your time, where you spend your money, where you spend your energy. What is demanding your emotional, your emotional quotient, if you will. What's occupying your mind? Take care of your health. Take care of these things, man. I'm blessed and fortunate in that I get to laugh for a living. I'm a comedian. I get to laugh for a living. We get to make music for a living. We go out and we have a great time with a lot of good people across this country. And I've never had a bad time in 10 years of touring the country and being around folks, live audiences. It's always been a blessing to me. But sometimes, man, we get our distraction and we forget just how blessed we really are. And there's people out there. Some of you are listening to me right now, and I know you're going through some hard things. It could be disease. It could be, tragedy. It could be grief. It could be all these things that are going on. And, I woke up today and realized that today is the death date, the anniversary date of my father's passing. And my father died way too young. But today's the anniversary of his passing, and I miss him. And I look at my own life, and I realize how far I am in life. And I've done a lot of living. But at 52 years of age, you realize you're not getting that time back. So let's prioritize. Agree with me, guys. Agree with me that we're going to put some positive things out into the world and be a force for good. I'm talking to so many men right now who are struggling with things. I tell you guys all the time about my own battles with depression. And, I was talking to Party Foul Steve. I was talking to our producer. I was talking to some other folks about my buddy Rocky Stucci. I'm talking to all these different folks about depression and the stuff that hits me and how I try to battle through it. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I just wouldn't. It's a horrible struggle, man. And you get worn out, you get worn down. And I know there's a lot of you out there today who are struggling with that. And I want you to just take a deep breath and let's pace ourselves if we can and live for this moment right now. Okay? Appreciate you guys. Blow up that chat. I know there's some folks. I see some of the stuff here. There's some people that are hurting out there, man. There's some people that are hurting. So let's have a good time. Let's have some fun. Blow up the chat. Put some comments in there. We had another giveaway this morning. So we're going to send some coffee mugs and some swag out. And it's cool. It's cool. But I want you guys to also, since you are on the internet, I want you to protect yourself with our friends over at Patriot Protect. I am a member of Patriot Protect. They do a great job of cleaning up the deep, dark, ugly web that has your information on it. You can go to patriot-protect.com/Chad. You can get the bundle deal, the complete blackout, and you can use promo code Chad as well if you're using an independent service that they offer there and get a discount. But let me tell you, this AI stuff has gotten so sophisticated with how it is able to go out and track your information. Scammers, emails, telephone, text, all of this stuff, and they're finding your information on the internet. Patriot Protect goes out, they find it, they scrub the internet, and they get you to where people can't find you. So go to patriot-protect.com/Chad and poof, vanish, disappear. Sometimes we'd like to physically disappear. Just go fishing somewhere. But make sure you're protected on the internet. Speaking of protection, it's Party Foul Steve is in the other room. Let's bring him on the show. Let's make the dog scream. There it is.
I thought we were doing away with the doorbell. No. Hey, let me ask you this. Have you ever, talking about the whole, depressed and dealing with life and the things of life, do you ever feel like you don't want to talk about it to other people because it'll just drag them down with you? Because I don't talk about nothing to nobody. I just walk around with a pissed off attitude or just
I know you do.
A fog or, and when I'm that way, whatever's going on. And, but I don't want to bring anybody else into my pity party.
So here's what I've learned to that point. Depression because not everybody, people can get depressed and not have depression. And then there's 100%. People who can get depression, right? And it's a disease that men don't want to talk about. And you feel like you are unworthy. Like I don't want to be around you. That's why a lot of times people who suffer from depression will alienate the people that are closest to them. They will literally ruin relationships because they feel like they're not good enough to have you in their life, right? So I get that in that you're like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just a man. I want to clam up. That's what most men do. Like I knew you were dealing with something yesterday and you didn't want to talk about it, and I was making you talk about it, and it was ticking you off even further to talk about it. But I know for me, I have to make myself talk about it because I'm a talker anyway. So when I get quiet, there's something going on. When I get quiet, there's a problem. And my biggest thing is Dr. Trevor Wilkins, he's counseled me a lot, the Angry Viking Therapist over on Instagram. He and I were just texting, and I haven't responded back to what he just sent me. But, men particularly, we all have a trauma. We all have something that has gone on in our life. And what is a trauma for you or me, it could be very, very different. There could be some things that have your mind wound up in a certain way that just doesn't make, to other people, it just looks simple. Like yesterday, you were dealing with a car battery. Like yesterday, you were dealing with a car battery, and I was like, it ain't no big deal, dude, but it was a big deal to you.
It was in the fact it had nothing to do with the car battery. It had to do with it was the car battery to my wife's car, her transportation, and I refused to have her stranded somewhere, and I also don't want her to have to go to the neighbors and get a jump or anything like that. We took care of the problem, and then once I took care of the problem and it was resolved, got a new battery in the car. It's, and I was like, it's a 3-year-old battery. I mean, why would that battery be? And it's like, it's just, and it had me wound up and it had me pissed off and all that good stuff. It had nothing to do with the battery itself.
And I get it. I was talking to somebody this morning about something, and I know that their attitude was they were like, that's not that big of a deal. I was like, but it was a big deal to me. Like for instance, it was a trauma thing. And so, what Trevor Wilkins has taught me is that, because he deals with a lot of people with some major trauma, PTS, first responders, military people have really been through some things. And he talks about how you have to unpack your mind. It's tangled up, it's wound up, and everybody's got it to some degree, but you've got to untangle that thing. And I've got just pages and pages of notes of things he said to me. And Mr. Producer here, he's here, but he's not seen, was telling me about David Goggins, David Goggins is an incredible motivator. I've listened to some of his stuff. I encourage people to get out there and do that. He's got a great book out there called Can't Hurt Me. He's got several books. But yeah, Steve, we all deal with different things. Like, for instance, I found myself years ago when my children were smaller and I was traveling a lot and away from my kids, I would go into panic mode if I couldn't find my phone, because that was my connection. If the kids needed something, you know what I'm saying? And I'd go into panic mode. And I was like, this is unhealthy. And so, like you with the car battery thing yesterday, that is a thing with you protecting and taking care of your wife and all of that. And I get it. So,
and she wasn't going anywhere. She didn't even need the car. It was just a matter of...
And she handled it like a champ. But it was bothering you. I knew it was bothering you yesterday. And I, man... You guys know I talk about it all the time. I have no problem crying. I believe in emotions. I believe in emotions. I think if you can laugh and you can be overjoyed, I think sometimes you cry. Last night I shed a few tears. Just shed a few tears. I'm just thinking about some things, and that's okay. Your body is designed by God to get some things out. And if you hold that stuff in, man, it just becomes a powder keg. It really does. And so back to your original question, talking about it, yeah, I think men should talk about it. They should talk about it more and not be apologetic about it, because, whether it's depression or whatever's bringing you down, you wouldn't talk that way about cancer. If you got it, you got it. And you're dealing with it, and it's a fight. So, I try to just say it's okay, guys, to not be okay. But
I think most of the time, like if I'm dealing with something, I've got like two people that I could talk to, but not at the same time, because if dudes start telling their problems in a group of their buddies, they're just gonna bash on them and climb on top and shove them down as hard as they can.
Yeah, and that's another thing about guys. That's another thing about men, is men always want to one-up each other. Like, we love our scars, right? So if I have something, people identify themselves based off of the bad things they've been through, okay? So that's why people manufacture oppression. That's why people create victimhood status. That's why people do these things, and we see it played out all the time when people are living in the most privileged and blessed country in the world, in the history of mankind, and we have so many blessings here, but yet we manufacture a way to be oppressed or offended or hurt, and men are the worst about wanting to one-up each other. So you tell me a story about one thing, and I got to say, yeah, well, let me tell you what happened to me, and the next thing you know, it's like nobody's listening to anybody because they're spending all their time thinking of the next way they're going to tell their story and one-up you.
We suck at listening.
We do suck at listening, and that's a fair point. And that's one thing, Steve, I appreciate about you, all the years we've spent in a car together. You at least do a good job of acting like you're listening.
Yeah, I do. I try to keep my mouth shut, because a lot of times sometimes you're just venting and going, and telling me how you feel about something, and I do want to insert how to fix this problem, but it's I try to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, that's so funny. Good Lord. And you know what? You don't have to please anybody. That's another thing. We get on this performance treadmill of thinking that we got to make other people happy, and you get afraid of, wanting men's approval or wanting people's approval, and you're fearing their rejection. Both of those imposters, man, you've heard me say this over, approval and rejection, they're both imposters. Triumph and disaster. What Rudyard Kipling said, he said, when I meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. That's exactly what that is. And if the approval of man can make you, then the rejection of man can destroy you. So anyway, we'll get into some of these news stories here. I just want to Just want to get you guys thinking about stuff today, because I'm thinking about it. And I didn't sleep last night a whole lot. So that's a couple nights in a row I haven't slept very well. Anyway, there you go. There's my therapy session. How about that? How about that? How about that?
You'll be happy to know I got a 7 solid hours of sleep last night. That was well needed.
Oh man, that's funny. I love you guys. I love you guys in the chat. I love you guys that listen. And sometimes it's good just to talk about real life, man. You know what we need to do? We need to go dig an oil well, man. Let's go strike some oil. Let's do that, Steve. We won't worry about anything.
Let's do it. Wildcatters. Let's
just go dig some oil. And we'll get our friends, AlliedOilfield.com. Check them out. Allied Oilfield. That's where we're going to go over there and get some equipment from them. From concept, design, finished product, AlliedOilfield.com. If you guys out there in the oil and gas business, if you're in the trucking business, if you're in heavy machinery, heavy equipment, these folks can help you out over at Allied Oilfield. They're over in Levelland, Texas. They've been an industry leader for over 20 years now. Good folks out there. And I'm thankful that they're a part of this program. And they're supporting us, partnering with us. They got some cool stuff over there. It ain't cheap, buddy. It ain't cheap. AlliedOilfield.com. They're good folks over there. Go check out what they got if you're in that industry and see what's up. And drill, baby, drill. If you're not in that industry, it's good to go over there and educate yourself a little bit at AlliedOilfield.com. Check them out. All right. I'm sick of talking about Jasmine Crockett. She doesn't stop. It's
always
though.
Something.
She doesn't ever stop. It's always something. So this was the thing she said, talking about Ted Cruz, basically saying you're going to knock Ted Cruz over the head. Talking about, she believes in punching. Let's play the clip again. Just listen real quick.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. I think, and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head, hard, right? There is no niceties with him, at all. You go clean off on him, right? I think that.
Well, I know that you would. I know that you guys would say, "Oh, it's no big deal. She's just using a figure of speech." Well, we've been told you can't do stuff like that. Now, whenever we've been said over and over again, "Oh, these are threats of violence. You're using threats of violence and stuff like this." But I want you to watch what happened when one of Laura Loomer's correspondents met up with Jasmine Crockett there at the Capitol, at the office buildings. Watch what she does. Watch this clip.
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds.
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the 29th.
Right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman, will you condone violence at the Tesla?
Yeah.
She put her hands on.
She put hands on. So she did it. So she said it, then she did it. Now, the newest update is the reporter that happened to has now filed a police report against Jasmine Crockett. I think there's also been some calls for her to be censured, which, again, I don't know that necessarily does anything. We'll see if Mike Johnson has the backbone to do it. But he has filed a police report against Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett for assault and battery and attempted theft. So we'll see how that goes.
Now, I'm not gonna take Crockett's side on this, but if somebody gets that close up to me with a camera, we really don't know how close up in her face they were, because with those cameras, sometimes they get right up in your face.
Yeah,
and
but
so
you still can't.
It's like,
can't be touching.
I might put hands on somebody if they got up that close. Keep on talking while I'm having a conversation with somebody else.
Well, that's why you'll never be a congressman, too. So
I'm not a congressman.
You're also not in Congress, but reach out, throw them hands. I mean, what if one of those nails flies off and hits somebody in the eye?
If she did that to me, I'd fall on the floor with a bad back.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, I do think we as a society have gotten awfully soft, but you can't be throwing hands up here. Now, she came out, I think this was yesterday or the day before, she was making a reference to, Sarah Gonzalez sent me this earlier this morning, where Jasmine Crockett was talking about Governor Greg Abbott here in Texas. And, she said, I'll play the clip. Just play it.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey.
Classic.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So, come on now. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody calls him Hot Wheels at some point in time, even to his face, I think. I wouldn't, but...
A lot of people have referred to Greg Abbott as Hot Wheels. They've said a lot of things about Greg Abbott, but I mean, you're a congressperson. You're in Congress, and you're calling for people to be punched. You're calling for Ted Cruz to, hit him upside the head, and then you actually assault someone, and then you're going to talk about these hot ass streets and Hot Wheels and the whole thing.
It's a direct reflection of the culture and environment where she's from and lives, how they go through life, and she's bringing it to Congress. But I'm not saying it's right,
but she didn't go through that. She went through a $35,000 a year.
I didn't say
high
that.
School
her voters, though,
and a $55,000 a year college degree, and she didn't talk like that till she got to Congress, and now she's doing the whole thing.
What part of Dallas does she represent?
I don't know. I guess right in the center of it, the whole deal. I don't know how the district is laid out over there, but I mean, she's Dallas. So anyway,
representing.
I'll just say this: this is the thing. It's not going to get better. This type of language, this type of talk, this type of actions on any side with anyone, it's not going to get better because we have become this soundbite generation where everybody wants to make the news, everybody wants to have a viral clip, everybody wants to be known for something. They're trying to punch through the smoke and, get out of the gray areas and be relevant. And so they're going to keep pushing the envelope on this stuff. And, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So, it's not going to get any better. And the other thing that just drives me up the wall is the fact that we've created a generation where all of us, we want everything encapsulated in less than 300 characters, right? It's a Twitter post, X post, whatever type of deal, Facebook post, Instagram post, and there's no listening, there's no discussing, there's no real debate or dialogue anymore. There's just, can we throw darts at each other? And it's not going to get any better. So,
and that made a great reel for all the social media. So,
yeah, and you know what? The bad thing is she'll end up probably getting reelected.
Yeah,
I'm hoping the guy running against her can be successful. I hope he can raise some money and get out there and do it. I don't know. I don't know if you know it or not, Steve, but everything is racist. And she'll be pulling the racist card out, too, with this assault thing. Watch. She'll say she's being persecuted. But diets are everything's racist at this point. Play this clip.
The same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower, even when we're following the diet than our white women counterparts. It's literally that the racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same. The same diets as white women, we...
Okay, now we could go at this a couple of different ways, but I will say the diet that works for the diet that works for me does not work for you, Chad.
That's a fact.
So I would say it's people to people, not race to. I mean, yeah, race to race. I'm sure a diet for white people's different, affects their body, difference from you Mexican, black, whatever. They're all going to be. You have to go on a different diet. You keep looking for what works for you.
I mean,
and why do I want fried chicken all of a sudden?
Yeah, some people are just big boned, man.
Yeah.
But I know some fat white people. And, you know, interestingly enough, remember they were saying that if we all went out and got that universal vaccine, we all got the same exact medical treatment, that everybody would be okay. And they were trying to force everybody to go out there and get that medical procedure. But now she's going to sit there and say,
I'm not doing that. There. My hands are right here.
This is the producer with the burger going in her mouth. They're going to say, you know, they said all these. Now she's going to say people are different. Now that's the logic, is people are different.
Doctors don't treat everybody the same way for There's not one fix all.
You know what? I take a lisinopril for blood pressure with a little hydrochlorothiazide mixed into it. Not everybody does that. Some people take metoprolol. It works for them. I have to have, and you know what? If I take the lisinopril without the HZTZ in it, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work as effectively. That's not true for everybody. But to say I don't lose weight at the same pace as my white female counterpart, I'll tell you what's not racist, and that's a treadmill. Treadmills do not discriminate. You can get you a treadmill and walk on that thing.
But
and listen,
again, exercise doesn't work for everybody. I'm just like, some people can exercise all they want. It's just the way their metabolism is. It's the way it's eating, what they're not eating. It's
but
it's complex.
I guarantee you, she ain't giving that a shot. She's not trying. I mean, there's some people out there can eat all they want to eat, and they never gain a pound. And you got some folks that, you know, can't lose the weight. I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I had half a hot dog today. That's my problem. I ate the wrong thing.
I can't believe you. Okay, I'm going to call you out right now.
Here we go.
We have hot dogs for lunch today, and he boiled his wiener. Who boils wieners?
I boiled the wieners. I threw them in a pot, and I boiled the water. I didn't have time to go. I wasn't having a barbecue.
I would build a fire.
I mean, we could have microwaved it. But
no, we're not okay.
You don't microwave anything.
I was going to say, I'll take a step back. Let's go back to the boiling, because I'm not going to put it in a microwave.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the whole deal. Is, you know, my weight fluctuates. I'm always up or down 20 pounds. You and I have dealt with this for 10 years. You'll do stuff, and I've seen you lose weight. I've seen you gain weight. You've seen me up and down. And that's one of the reasons why I do things to help myself. Like, I'm a part of Make Wellness. Steve, everything I do, I get criticized for. Yeah. Everything. I take the peptides. I was taking injectable peptides. And I was like, you know what? If there's an oral peptide, and they came up with an oral peptide. Some nerds in Ireland came up with an oral peptide that you can get in your body. Make Wellness sells it. I started taking it.
Yeah, I'm doing the focus, because same thing, Make Wellness. I'm doing the focus, and trust me, I went 3 days without taking it, and I knew that there was a difference.
Yeah.
So it's that I didn't notice it while I was taking it. I do it when I wasn't taking it. So
yeah. I mean, I know people who have gotten off of. And that doesn't work for everybody. That's what we're talking about. I know people who have gotten off their ADHD medicine by taking that stuff. I know people who have that have quit taking stuff like Ozempic and semaglutide and all that kind of stuff, which God only knows what you're putting in your body with that.
Yeah.
But I've seen people who have quit that because of the Make Wellness lean stuff. And I started taking it. Well, then I post that I take it, and I let people sign up under me and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you're a multi-level marketing shill. Whatever. I've been called a sellout.
Who's not selling something these days?
Well, my thing is this. You know what's funny about multi-level marketing things is, and I know that's had a bad name for a lot of years.
Pyramid scheme.
A pyramid scheme.
Amway.
Every job you have ever had in your life is a multi-level marketing scheme. There's the boss, and everybody under him is multi-level. That's how businesses work.
There's a product. Whatever. There is a product. No matter where you work, there's a product, or you would not be working. You're producing something. And if you're not producing something, you're probably the federal government.
Yeah. But I listen. I'm always promoting. I'm always selling, always marketing. I'm always doing stuff. I mean, if you followed me for any length of time on social media, I've been, let me tell you something, Steve, and we got to do our sponsor, but let me just tell you, everything I've ever done, when I was on Ride TV, back in the days of doing radio and television, years ago when I had the television show on Ride TV, this was before anybody knew who I was a sellout for trying to push, Ride TV, because we were on Dish Network and trying to get them to put us on there. And I was a sellout for that. And when I went into comedy, I was a sellout for doing that. When I started selling T-shirts, I was a sellout for doing that. When I started podcasting, I was a sellout for doing that. Every single thing along the way, I have always been accused of being a sellout. And it's like, you would think I'd be super rich. I'm not. I'm blessed, but I'm not rich, right? I mean, compared to other places in the world, yeah. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's what goes back to the point. You got to be you. You got to do what works for you. And it ain't about a diet being racist. It ain't about being a sellout or anything else. You are an individual, and you got to do what's right for you. It goes back to the prioritizing thing that I was saying at the beginning.
I mean, you've built this social media, you've built that. That's your, quote, company. Yeah. You have products, you sell them. That's, people ask me all the time, or a lot of times, not all the time, but they're like, hey, can you do this? I ask them what their budget is. They don't respond because I'm just like, no, I'm blessed. I'm very blessed to get to do what I get to do with you.
Yeah. Well, we work hard, dude. We work hard. Like next week, you and I got to get to Hays, Kansas. I don't know if you know it or not, but you can't get there from here. No. And you can. Hays has a regional airport, but you can't rent a car there. So if somebody wants to send the private jet, we'll fly it. We got to fly into Wichita, Kansas, and then we got to drive 2.5 hours to get to Hays, do a show. And the next morning, drive 3 more hours, I think, get to Sharon Springs, Kansas, and then we got to fly home to Denver. I'm thinking to myself, we ought to just drive it.
Yeah.
12 hours up, 12 hours back. Yeah.
Ooh.
We used to do that stuff, man. And people, you're a sellout. Okay, whatever.
Buy a ticket.
I mean, we work our butts off, man. And every day I got somebody asking me to share their GoFundMe or something like that. And I'm like, we're just trying to keep our head above water, do all this kind of stuff, man. But racist diets, I'm telling you, these racist diets, man. You know what else I like is All Family Pharmacy. All Family Pharmacy, go over there. All Family Pharmacy has the ivermectin. They do have some of that weight loss stuff over there. They got the prescriptions that you need. If you go to allfamilypharmacy.com, I'm a big proponent of the ivermectin. I'm a big proponent of some of these antiparasitics and some of these things that we got villainized for talking about through the scamdemic. All Family Pharmacy, they got the protocols you need, and I'm also a big proponent of the emergency medical kits. I believe in being prepared. Just the other day, we were somewhere on a trip, and somebody needed something, and I said, I got that in my truck. They come to me, and they're like, I'm like a pharmacy. They're like, well, do you have such and such? And I'm like, I sure do. I sure do. And you know why? It's because I'm prepared from allfamilypharmacy.com. You go over there, you do your shopping, the doctor takes a look at it, writes the prescription, and you get it in just a couple of days. Boom. There you go. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, you need something, you got it. So go over there and check them out, allfamilypharmacy.com. Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're working on, I see that right now. I'm in Tulsa at the Looney Bin every year. We're working on doing a show. Reno Collier and I think are going to come back to the Looney Bin and do a weekend. We're looking at October for that. So anyway, I still got to book that flight to Kansas, dude, if we're going to do it, because that's next week, bro.
Figure it out. The longer we wait, the higher the price goes up on that flight.
I like going to Kansas. I think it's a beautiful state. Like, there's nothing there. I mean, you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. I mean, you can see forever, and I love big sky.
I spent a lot of time in Kansas over the years.
Yeah. I enjoy it. I was there last year. That was an adventure because I had to get into Sharon Springs, and then I had to get to Wichita, and that was an adventure last year. I did a video about that, how crazy it was. Washington State Senate leader says parents, they don't have rights. How long have I been telling you guys that these communists out there, they want your kids. They're after your kids, and it's not anything new. They love the brainwashing. They love to take control of your kids. But this is the story. Washington State Senate leader says that kids over 13 have the right to make their own decisions about their mental health care. Well, you know where this is going, right? You know where this is going. This is going towards the whole trans thing. They say parents don't have the right to have notice. They don't have the right to have consent about that. Oh, I'm sorry. That ain't gonna go over flying well with me and my kids.
No, but the ones that live up there in the state of Washington, that they're okay with it.
Are they? I mean, Washington, with the exception.
Well, if they have to be okay with it. They keep voting it in.
Well, I guess. But again, I think California, Oregon, Washington, all these places, they get screwed by the big city bureaucracies because by and large, the rest of the state tends to be red. But you have the Seattle, and then in Oregon, you have Portland. And then you get down to California, everything's controlled by San Francisco and Sacramento and Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? These population centers.
Yeah.
But the rest of the state, it's just not. But no, I don't think so. I'm not just telling you. You're not going to take control of my kids. This is communism 101. People have heard me say it ad nauseum, but in 1917, when the Bolsheviks took over in Russia, the first thing they did was took the kids out of the home and put them in communist schools so they could grow good communists. This has always been the plan. This is always play a little piece of this clip.
Kids over 13. I think you should be able to raise your kids however you want.
Yeah, he's still got the hamburger on his mouth. Play the clip.
Kids over 13 have the complete right to make their own decisions about their mental health care. Parents don't have a right to have notice. They don't have a right to have consent about that. Kids
that
over
man
13
said that right there with a straight face. Now look at what you get. Look at what you get. You have an LGBT activist teacher and a trans husband who house a minor teen girl in Colorado against the mom's wishes. Now, that's a lot to unpack right there. But this is the type of mindset that we're talking about. So they took a child. They're housing a 17-year-old girl who identifies as a boy. They're basically taking this child away from the biological family, biological mother, housing her to protect her so she can do her whatever identifying trans thing.
So, okay, let's stop right there real quick. I want to break that. This is two women, right?
I think
that are married.
No, I think what it is I think, and I might get this wrong here, but it's a trans husband, which means it's
really a female, or really?
I think it's a dude dressed up like a female.
Okay, married to a woman. They just got kink. I don't know what that's like.
No, I think the one in the green right there I think that's a guy.
So
I can't I can't even get my brain wrapped around the mental nonsense that it takes to deal with all that. So I really I can't process who's trying to be who these days.
So they're not lesbians.
I'd have to read more in the story and see biologically where we're dealing with, but I do know we're dealing with LGBT activist people, trans activists, and a teacher who's housing a 17-year-old. So the mom, I guess, takes a police officer over to this house.
Okay, I'm starting to follow now.
Okay, police officer, watch. This is a couple of minutes, but I want you to watch this. Listen to what this police officer says. Play the clip.
I'm Deputy Thurber. How are you? Good. That's all I need to basically hear. I'm just coming by to make sure you're good. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to insert myself into something that's already sort of in process or whatever you're doing. You know, and yes, by legal standard, you're technically a minor as a 17-year-old, but I just wanted to make sure you're good.
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very good. That's all I need for now, and I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate your willingness to, I don't know, I guess, help me check boxes. Right?
I hear you.
I mean, he's laughing it off.
Probably going to have to speak with them.
Yeah, they're going to have a meltdown.
Exactly.
I don't know that I wouldn't be laughing
there.
either.
Hi.
So I'm Deputy Thurber,
Hey there.
and you folks are?
I'm Mom.
Okay.
I'm Renee.
All right.
Mackenzie.
Okay. So I basically went and did a welfare check, and I don't see signs of distress.
There doesn't need to be distress. She needs to come home. She is harbored by these folks and does not have my permission to be here. She is a minor. I don't care if she's a day away from 18. A minor is a minor, and she does not have my permission to be here.
Right, but again, it doesn't rise to the level of law enforcement involvement. She's not in distress right now.
So I'm sorry. You're telling me that you're not going to...
Physically rip her out of that home? Yeah.
Even if there was an agreement between CPS and her and the mother that
Those are civil agreements, and you're going to have to deal with those on the civil level.
So even though she is a minor, she has no permission to be here. She's technically a runaway at this point. They're harboring her, and that's okay.
Isn't that,
I mean, we heard you guys laugh up there, so there's obviously something that was funny.
Isn't it kidnapping when you refuse to give a child back?
No.
Seriously?
So
Correct.
what was funny is what I'd like to know.
What?
You guys were laughing up there? So what was funny?
I don't believe that's relevant.
Well, I do. We were talking about a child.
This is a 17-year-old.
She's still a minor.
Minor and child are different, and distress was not seen. I was told distress.
She wasn't distressed.
There isn't any.
Good. Okay. You guys want a civil suit too?
I'm doing my job.
Are you?
He's
Yep.
not
Okay.
doing his job.
Good job.
So, bottom line is, I can't... Can I go up there and take her?
No, in fact, they specifically said that you're not allowed on their property.
These people have literally taken this child. They have...
I don't know. See, I get other sides that say that the child's been thrown out of the house.
No, that's wrong.
That is wrong.
Okay, but do you see where I'm standing? What am I supposed to do? I can't make the determination.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm hearing right, the child is at the biological father's. He's a biological man. The father's house, right?
No.
Or are they not
They're
related
not.
at all?
They're not related. This is a
Okay.
teacher, an activist couple, and they're helping in Colorado this minor who's 17 years old transition.
Okay.
And they're basically
harboring at least.
It's kidnapping. I mean, we get into the whole grooming thing. I mean, it's obviously, I mean, that's pretty blatantly obvious what's happening here. But this police officer's got to go. I mean, you can't just come out and say, well, I can't do anything about it.
This is a tough one. You have a 17-year-old, and I know it's a minor, but they're not a child. They're a lot of states above the age of 14.
But that's not right. But that's not right. I don't know what state that is, but I know that's not right.
I don't know that if there's already a civil thing going on. I don't know that he might step outside of what he can do if he were to pull that person from the house.
Well, I love one of our legal scholars out there to help us out on a deal like this. But I mean, first of all, it's Colorado, which is crazy. I mean, if you go to Trinidad, Colorado, in southern Colorado, that's the sex change capital of the nation right there. So I mean, it's overrun with, mental health issues, and obviously, but listen, I just know this as a parent. My 17-year-old.
If I was a parent, I'd go in there and rip them out myself.
You
wouldn't need the police.
And to sit there and tell me that I don't have any rights to my child, Sorry. You know, my kids are adults. I mean, my kids are legal adults, but they're still my children.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a different
as dads, as parents, there's a different approach that we would take. And if he went in and checked and made sure, hey, are you good? They said they're good. And I know sometimes, hey, I'm good. It's just a response.
And again, my deal there, it's there's some ethical violations that are going on, but I don't know the Colorado law to know if there's legal violations that are going on.
I'm going to say that he's probably going to be okay as far as legally what he could do and what he couldn't do.
I mean, it depends. Like, okay, so here in the state of Texas, correct me if I'm wrong here, but here in the state of Texas, like I think like the sexual age is 17.
17,
not 18. Because a lot of times people say, well, you got to be 18 years old. Or I think here it's 17. It's not illegal. Gross, but it ain't illegal at 17. And so I don't know what the deal in Colorado is. You may have the ability upon your own volition to leave home and just say, this is the choice I'm making.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one, man. But see, this is the kind of stuff where you're going to get this is where we start to get into these weird dilemmas of what's right, what's wrong, and you got mental illness, in my opinion, that's parading itself around as normalcy. And boy, you really start to confuse some of the lines get blurred.
They kind of made it sound like there was already some civil action going on.
Yeah.
And the kid's okay. I say okay. The kid's is okay as, physically they don't look like they're harmed. They're not being held in place.
Yeah.
Maybe they're keeping them away from the parents. And like I say, that's a different story on how parents take care of that.
Wild. I mean, wild, dude.
But I think legally there's nothing really he could do.
I'm going to do some more research on this thing. I'm going to do some more dadgum research on this thing.
Do it.
That's brutal, bro. That's brutal. Idaho just passed a bill that gives death penalty to the pedos. That's good news.
Yeah.
Unanimously passed a bill to allow the death penalty for pedos. You know what's crazy, though, Steve? What's crazy is we're getting into this age of AI and all this kind of crazy nonsense where they're going to start doing stuff. They're going to make people look guilty that aren't guilty.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And they're going to we're getting into a weird world, dude. Like, we have entered into a lot of craziness here. And, it's just, and then you mix in the real evil that's out there in our world. And it's like, man, talk about blurred lines. But I'm happy to hear this in Idaho. If it's a proven deal that somebody's abusing sexually, abusing a child 12 years and younger, I mean, to me, that seems not old enough. Like, I would think I'd want it even older.
Yeah.
Anybody younger than, a certain age. But at 12, I mean, definitely. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Yeah. Scary stuff, bro. Mm-hmm. Don't touch kids.
Yep.
Don't mess with people's kids. I mean,
we were talking about
that.
Kids, they would be dead. So
yeah, well, we're talking about that
trial.
MMA guy that was chasing, that had the 4-year-old that got abused in the preschool or in the daycare, and he went and shot him up, shot the stepfather who was in the car, but chased him down. Now he's got 5 years.
Yeah, I hope they get that overturned. Honestly, because they would have to do a whole lot worse.
Yeah, Cain Velasquez. Yeah. Oh, man. Boy, howdy. We're living in a crazy world, dude. We were talking about it before the show. Sometimes I just want to check out. I was on that walk this morning, and I'm like, I am tired of trafficking in bad news. Like, I have to digest so much bad news and negativity every single day. And then, God forbid, I jump on a Facebook post and everybody coming at me. And I'm like, bro, can we not just laugh a little bit at the world around us? And, But
don't read the comment. Chad, you told me a long time ago, don't read the comments.
I know.
Don't read the comments.
There's so much negativity, dude. I'm telling you, man, people have so much bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness and so much anger. There's so much of that stuff. It is poison, and it has been released into this world, man. I'm telling you, the last 30 years, I've watched, you know, when I got into social media heavily, looking at it as a way to make a career out of utilizing, because to me it was a marketing tool, but it was a sociological experiment. I wanted to see what motivates people, what moves them. And now, you know, for the last 15 years of watching this thing, I've watched it just devolve into just ugliness. I mean, ugliness. And I'm like, I had somebody today, I had to block them. I'm gotten to a point now where I just block them. I'm like, I've tried to not do that because I'm like, you know, I don't want to censor anybody that's got something to say, even if I don't agree with it. But like, I had somebody today who's like, you know, talking about looking up my divorce paperwork and making all these accusations. And I'm like, good God, you people just make stuff up and float it out there. It's like, you know what? You just go away. Just make them go away. Block them. And I don't even care anymore. It's insane. Crazy. And then you look at these stories like this, you're like, man, what is the world coming to?
Trash.
It really is, man. It really is. I've said for a long time, social media, it's been a great tool, but man, it's a downfall. It is a downfall for society. Anyway, blow up the chat, folks. Throw something out there.
You got to learn to put your phone down at a certain time every day and just go, look, I'm walking away from my phone, even if it's for an hour, 2 hours, or 6 hours. Like, boom, not going to touch it.
Well, that's one of the things one of the things, and I'll just let everybody that's listening right now, I don't know what we're going to do. You know, I don't know how long Graham Allen's going to be in Washington, D.C. Don't know. I wish him all the best and all the success and all. But again, Graham went to D.C. to work. I'm doing the Dear America show in the morning. He asked if I would help with that. And, Todd and Tony and Royce have done a great job as well with that. And I'm just trying to serve, right? And so doing that show in the morning and then talking about other stuff that's happening in the afternoon, that's what we've talked about it over and over again. We're going to have to do something different with this show and just say, hey, we got to get back to having some fun. We got to get back to having some fun.
I want to do fun. I like the way we started the show off. I like that, a little bit of that in there.
But then you got
have some
people.
Fun. We still make fun of some stuff though.
Yeah. Now I want to go take a shower.
Make fun of each other. Make fun of the news.
We'll get Meggie Moo on here and get Todd and Tony and whoever wants to come on. But let's go back and have some fun, man.
Don't say whoever wants to come on because my phone will be blowing up. Hey.
Yeah. And then, I try to do the Chad's Church towards the end of the week. So, that kind of thing. But let's go back and have some fun. Anyway. Hey, do me a favor, guys. Go out there where podcasts are offered and rate it, review it, do all that stuff. And there's a lot going on in our world, man. Pray for each other. I saw several of you say that you're praying for us. We will take that all day long, every day. Get up in the morning, read a little bit of your Bible, take a walk. Do what you got to do to prioritize yourself, and don't worry over car batteries like Party Foul Steve.
I think there's some super chats too. Don't forget those. I have to remind you.
Put them up there. Into Tipton. Chad, thank you for the opening statement. That was much needed. God bless. Well, God bless you as well. It was for me. Yeah. What else we got? Do.
Any more super chats? I
know
think
we
there's
got a couple more. There's one. Wazitos 805. I found myself sitting in the parking lot of the gym this morning, bawling, as I'm writing an email to a fishing company telling my story of my dad and how I lost him. I haven't fished a day since my dad. You know what? I feel you. On that. Sometimes it can bring back some really painful memories, and some of that trauma is triggering. And I miss my dad. I'm not going to talk about it. And I know you do too, Steve. You know.
Yeah.
It's my dad was an interesting cat, man. He was funny.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, I miss him and things. I got pretty close with my dad growing up.
Yeah.
Doing all the dad stuff. But the thing I miss the most is him not being able to see me being the dad and the grandpa. I guess that kind of, I don't know, just.
There were things that I wish my dad could have seen and known. He had strokes, and the last 2 years of his life, he dealt with a lot of dementia. And there's a lot of things that I wish my dad could have understood in those years, but he just couldn't. And God bless him. My dad was a stern man, but he was funny. He had a very dry sense of humor, and a lot of people didn't know that about him. But I miss him. And I see myself every time I look in the mirror. I see my dad. It's getting to that point where I see pictures of myself. Dude, don't you? I mean, like, I see pictures of people will post pictures of me at a show or something, and I'm standing there and they'll post it on Facebook, and I'm like, golly, it looks like my dad standing there. And insane. Let's see. Passed away. So today I'm ending that streak of feeling empty, and I'm headed to get my line wet and talk to my pops. I think that is exactly what you need to do. And I was waiting on that one to pop up there because I wasn't going to give you that advice. I was going to let you give yourself that advice, and I think that is a dadgum good idea. That's a way to honor him and something very therapeutic for yourself. Yeah. Jody Hart.
Oh, goodness.
You have brought so much faith and warmth to my life. I feel like I'm actually being listened to. You are so knowledgeable. I have learned much more about the Bible. You really break it down. I have only God to confide in. Well, Amen. Jody, thank you for that. I appreciate you so much for sharing that. That's encouraging. And grieve a party foul. Jody does. I feel people do not want to listen to anything negative. I suffer from depression too. I do my best to find the positive. Amen, sister. Chad, is there any place in the world you have not been? No. Antarctica. Party foul. This is the most I have heard you say today.
You missed yesterday?
You're always quiet. Yesterday was funny. I hardly text. Prefer voice when talking to people. I am acronyms confused. Honestly, you and I both are that. That's for sure. That's a fact. What we got next? H. Cole 414. Can you do another session like you did last Friday? It was so good. I went back and did some more work about the verses. I love when you talk about God. Well, you know what? We sure will. We'll do some. And I've been really blessed. For those of you who have been missing it, I've been going back through some of the old notes of one of my spiritual mentors, the late Herb Hodges, and reading through his notes, and it's blessed me. And so I've been sharing some of those things later in the week. So we'll do one of those for Thursday's episode as well. What's next? Whiskey Girl 71. Just because I love those faces. Thanks for the laugh. Awesome. We love yours back. Awesome. Love it back. All right, party foul, Steve. I was going to go play golf this afternoon, but my golf, Darren had to cancel.
Yeah, well, you were talking, how you were talking about priorities and stuff like that. We locked in Tuesdays as our kids come over for dinner and we get to see grandbabies and that kind of thing.
A little Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, little Taco Tuesday. I think we're not having tacos, though. I think we're having something else today. I think it's chicken parm on the menu. But I do want everybody to go to my Instagram, Party Foul Steve, over there. Yeah. There's also a link to my Make Wellness. You can just click on that right there. And you go see the supplements that have been on for about a month. And I didn't realize what they were doing until I didn't take them.
Yeah, good stuff. Mamoose. For the days when it feels like someone fed and watered the gremlins after midnight, know that we all love y'all. The laughs are incredible and infectious among the chat. Blessed by all the chatters.
Amen.
Chad's
love
chatters.
That.
Why haven't we thought of that right there?
Chad's
chatters. I like that. Good times. Appreciate you guys so much, man. Thanks for jumping on, tuning in, and spending the afternoon with us. We don't know what the days ahead are going to hold. We'll see. But I think we got to get back to having some fun. And y'all make sure you tune into Todd's show. Todd and Tony are going to take it from here at what time? 3 o'clock. And then Maggie Moo, she's on this evening. Brandon Morello as well. So Party Foul Steve, it was fun bickering with you a little bit yesterday. We were both in a mood.
Yeah, we were. It was fun. I like the reactions of Tony, and when I get home, and she's like, "Oh my God, what were y'all?" she loved it. So
it was funny. All right, guys, I'm going to jump over here. Go to watchchad.com.
Real life every day.
That's a fact. That's a fact. WatchChad.com is where all the fun stuff is. You can do a little shopping over there. PrayTherTees.com, RedPillChad.com also has some shirts. We got some new ones that are over there. And go check that out. And then, yeah, all the good things, man. Follow us on the socials and let's try to encourage each other, okay? Nobody's perfect, man. Jesus was, and they crucified him. So let's keep building each other up. I love you guys so much. We will talk to you tomorrow morning for the Dear America program. We will be here bright and early, 9, 8 Central. Until then, we love you. God bless you. Take care of yourselves. Bye.